De onde batsan. It's so good to see everyone today. Welcome to our webinar on celebrating Indigenous practices to promote workforce wellness across tribal early childhood programs and communities. It's great to see everyone. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day, wonderful May weather, hopefully, wherever you are. And just want to go ahead and introduce myself really quick as we welcome everyone to the webinar. I'm Melody Redbird Post, and I'm the project director for the Tribal Child Care Capacity Building Center. I am located here in Western Oklahoma on the traditional and contemporary homelands of the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache Nations. I'm a member of the Kiowa tribe located here in Oklahoma. And I'm very excited to see all of you and very glad that you all are able to join us. So a couple logistics before we get started with our agenda today. So I'll be your moderator today. And just so you know, this webinar is being recorded for future reference. Just want to remind everyone there is a closed caption option available. And if you would like a copy of the slides or you're curious about the recording, this webinar recording and a link to the presentation slides that we're sharing today, those will be made available online. And as a follow-up, we'll be sending an email to all the registered participants with all of the information and the links to the slides and the webinar recording. So just so you know, all of the our audio lines are muted as we go through our schedule today. We really encourage you to ask any questions, anything you'd like to share in the chat box feature. There will be opportunities to ask questions of our presenters today. So just wanted to share that. And as we get started, we invite you all to say hello, let us know who's here with us. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat if you would like. We'd love to know your name, your title, and your role, and the tribe or tribal program that you represent. And we really look forward to our time together today. So, Anko, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, 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 everyone. All right, so to get us started, we wanted to first start off with a, in a good way. And so we have a little short video clip that we'd like to share of a traditional Kiowa prayer song being sung by some of our children. So we're going to go ahead and start off our webinar with that. So give us a minute while we pull that up on screen. Okay, here we go. Boy na heke da da, pane an koi de an, dum de ki de da na boy ain't bega, da ki and sange da po, da ki and sange da po. August I gu, boy ma heke da da, pane an koi de an, dum de ki de da na boy ain't bega, da ki and sange da po. Da ki and sange da po. August I gu, boy ma heke da da. Pane an koi de an, dum de ki ke da na boy ain't bega. Da ki and sange da po. Da ki and sange da po. August I gu, boy ma heke da da. Pane an koi de an. Dum de ki na na boy e bega, da ki and sange da po, da ki and sange da po. Obaha. All right. And with that, so I just wanted to again open up our webinar in a good way. That was a traditional Kiowa prayer song from the Kiowa tribe. And it's basically thanking our Creator for all of the wonders of nature, all the blessings, and especially given that it's springtime and springtime here in the plains, in the Great Plains of our nation. It's a time of storms, and so there's a lot of storms that come through, and so that song acknowledges the beauty, the wonder, and the power behind those storms. And so just wanted to share that with all of you. So welcome again. I see everyone is saying hello in the chat. It's so good to see all of you. We're really excited to share and gather together today. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to our next slide, and we're going to take a look at what we have planned for our time together. So today we want to explore the topic of collaborative efforts that support early childhood workforce wellness. We want to be able to share mental health innovations and promising practices that are being implemented in tribal early childhood programs and communities. And we also want to discuss some highlighted strategies with all of our peers and hear about resources that might be useful in tribal early childhood communities and programs. So we're going to first be able to hear about the kind of the topic of workforce wellness, which is our focus today. And we're going to hear an overview of the Tribal Early Learning Initiative. We're going to hear some sharing from our partners at Seneca Nation. And then we're going to hear an overview of the Tribal Colleges and Universities and Head Start Partnerships Initiative. Then we're going to hear some sharing from our partners at Navajo Technical University. We're going to hear some highlights from the Tribal Early Childhood Research Center and the Tribal Child Care Capacity Building Center, and then we'll be closing up our time together. And again, there will be opportunities for you to ask questions of our presenters. And so first I wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge and say thank you, Aho de Batha, great big appreciation to all of our collaborating partners that have been working to make this webinar possible. And so just want to acknowledge all of our collaborators and just say thank you again. Then we'll go to the next slide. And so this webinar is made possible through collaboration amongst the many partners you see on these two slides, including the Office of Early Childhood Development, the Office of Child Care, Office of Head Start, the Administration for Native Americans, the Office on Planning, Research, and Evaluation, as well as Tribal Home Visiting, the Tribal Early Childhood Research Center, the National American Indian and Alaska Native Head Start Collaboration Office, as well as several of our national technical assistance centers. And so we just want to say thank you to all of the offices and partners that have collaborated to bring this webinar to all of you today. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my colleague, Althea, to share a little bit about our planning committee.
Hello, I'm Althea Zuni. I'm the Tribal TA Specialist with the Tribal Child Care Capacity Building Center. I primarily work with Region 6, and I'm here to talk about the Tribal Subcommittee Work Group. Next slide. So the Administration for Children and Families, the ACF, Training and Technical Assistance, Equity, Inclusiveness, and Culturally and Linguistically Responsive Practices, for short, the EI and CLRP work group. It has launched a tribal subcommittee in early 2017 as part of a larger effort to ensure the Office of Child Care and Office of Head Start national centers, and other partners had dedicated forum to discuss issues and share updates related to providing TT technical assistance to tribes. The tribal subcommittee has become a space for sharing updates, innovations, launching partnerships, and discussing issues unique to tribal communities from the lens of providing the culturally responsive TTA to tribal early childhood programs. So that is a quick overview. I'm going to pass it on to Priscilla, and then she'll talk about the next one.
Hi, thanks, Althea. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Priscilla Acosta, and I'm honored to be a Tribal TA specialist with the Tribal Child Capacity Building Center, often fondly referred to as TCBC. Today, I'll be sharing some information regarding our focus topic today, which is celebrating workforce wellness practices. To support you and your team with promoting workforce wellness, we wanted to highlight a webinar from the Administration for Children and Families that highlights staff wellness resources and innovations to promote retention and support recruitment of the early childhood workforce. You can scan the QR code here on the screen to get a link to the webinar recording and slides for your future reference. You can also click on the link that we are going to be inserting into the chat momentarily. Right, next slide, please. Okay, to promote staff retention through wellness, here are some strategies you could consider. Cultural connectedness activities, reflective supervision, coaching, access to mental health consultants, professional learning activities, mindfulness and yoga activities, and sufficient lunch breaks. These activities can help improve job satisfaction and help to reduce compassion fatigue among your staff. Where self-care is important, where self-care is an individual action that can isolate people when they need it most, community care asks us, who do we lean on when we need regrounding? How do we allow others to take care of us? How do we honor the ways in which we are in relation to one another? Community care is an especially powerful form of care in communities that are often more collectivism than individualistic. Our communities traditionally have built-in support systems and place a huge importance on being a good relative. Community care brings the concept of self-care outside of its individual barriers and shows that by reaching out, we can also take care of what's inside. It allows community members to lean on each other when they are not okay and opens up dialogue that enables helping one another. Community care is built upon relationships. At some point, you need care from your community. At other points, you provide care for that community. This could be you reaching out to text or call someone when you need someone to talk to. It could be things like helping someone grab groceries or a relative that has a lot on their plate, or by going over to someone's house and doing dishes when they have a new baby. Next slide. Many of you may recognize this is a medicine wheel. The medicine wheel can also be used to think about wellness, with the 4 colors and directions of the wheel representing physical wellness, mental wellness, social and emotional wellness, as well as spiritual wellness. This wellness wheel can help you think more about what community care may mean to you and about how you can heal yourself and your community in relation to each other. Physical wellness can represent exercise, nutrition, as well as health and personal care, whereas mental wellness can represent continuous learning and growth, sustainability, and career development. Spiritual wellness can represent reflection, empowerment, life satisfaction, or fulfillment. Social and emotional wellness can represent family, kinship, friendship, companionship, community, and culture. And with that, I will now pass it over to our partner, Eva Carter.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it, Priscilla. I'm really excited to get the opportunity to talk to everyone about the Travel and Learning Initiative. Or we refer to it as TELI. I'm sure a lot of you have heard a lot about it, and some have not ever heard of it. But I am co-coordinating this with Kimber Olson, who also is with TCBC, and we are just amazed at what's happening with the TELI. So the TELI is an initiative that is sponsored by ACF, Early Childhood Development, and it's an effort to bring together Head Start, childcare, tribal home visiting, and other partners at the local level, local tribal level. And it really started way back in 2012 when the head of the ACF Early Childhood Development Division was out on a site visit. She was visiting a Head Start center. Her name was Linda Smith. And she was visiting a Head Start center. And then she said, well, let me see the childcare center within this tribe. And the disparity was unbelievable. The Head Start Center had all these equipment and toys and manipulatives and beautiful kitchens. And she went across to the childcare center and it had none of that. And she just questioned why. These are all the same tribal children. Why shouldn't they be having the same services? So she came back to Washington, D.C. and designed the TELI. So it's been going since 2012. We are now in our third cohort, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in just a minute. But I wanted you to know that it truly is a commitment from the Office of Head Start Child Care and Tribal Home Visiting at the federal level to learn how to bring these programs together in a more efficient way. And we have meetings between all the federal partners every other month. We're learning about each other's program standards. Last month, we talked about the differences in eligibility across Head Start, childcare, and tribal home visiting. And so I really am confident in saying that our ACF early childhood programs are really trying hard to make this happen. So if we can go to the next slide, why? Talked a little bit about that so far. But we know, those of you who are in programs at the local level, you know that we all, you know what, I'd say local level, but I also say federal level, regional level, wherever we are. We operate in silos with different funding sources, standards, regulations. We have different conflicting policies and inconsistent quality. If you look at the Head Start performance standards, there's like a jillion of those, and then there's the child care regulations, and then tribal home visiting has their own reporting system. And, you know, nobody is doing anything wrong by trying to do their job, follow their regulations. It's just about, can we do something better? So TELI is an opportunity for all tribal early childhood partners to work together to develop a stronger system. And yeah, I have to commend our TELI grantees, or not grantees, I'm sorry, it's not a grant. I wish we did have money for it, but we don't. But those who have taken an opportunity to step back, they've all got very difficult and time-consuming jobs, but to sit back and really take a bird's eye view at their community and at their early childhood system. How many different applications does a family have to fill out in order to get services from healthcare providers, Head Start, childcare, all of these different programs, and think about what are our families going through as they try to navigate all of this. So we're excited about TELI and what it has to offer communities. We are guided by, we'll go to the next slide, a continuum. And we find that most folks at the systems level, community level, want to partner. They really want to do the best things they can do for their families. but oftentimes the partners that they have in their community are over here on the left side where they're just competing. We know Head Start right now is going through a really tough time of under enrollment. And so maybe they feel a little threatened by childcare, who is getting more money to expand their system. So maybe a lot of communities are at that compete level. As they move up this continuum and start to really kind of think about the connections between all of our programs at this community level. And we're maybe just coexisting, but what would be the next step? And of course, communication, you know, is critical to anything we do. So moving up the continuum, we would move on then to cooperation. What is it that we need to do? What kind of information do we need to share about our families in our programs? Moving on into where we really start to coordinate. We're seeing some of our tele collaboratives do early childhood fairs. One of ours, the San Felipe Pueblo in New Mexico, had a early childhood fair, and over 500 people came, and it was sponsored by all of their early childhood partners. So they're really starting to coordinate. And then as you get into collaboration, you start thinking about, oh, okay, what are our shared goals? What are our shared decisions? We're all here trying to do the same kind of work. And then finally, when we really have that systems perspective, our programs would be fully integrated through planning, funding, training of staff, you know, setting up wraparound services or ways that, you know, we've seen some centers that you walk in and it's an early childhood center. It's not a Head Start center. It's not a child care center. It's an early childhood center where families don't even know where the funding comes from. So integrating those programs so that families are all in one place when possible is like some of the ultimate goals. So if we can go to the next slide. We have, like I mentioned, we've had two cohorts before the one we're with now, and you can see the names of the tribes that we have worked with. Some of them we're still working with. San Felipe came back, and they're just doing an incredible job. We took a break after 2017 for, as everybody knows, this whole part of our history called COVID and pandemic. But we came back in 2020, what, was it? Somewhere around there, 2022, I believe, was when we started the next one. And when we go to the next slide, we'll show you what tribes we're working with right now. So the tele, like I said, is not funded by a grant, but it is a way to bring programs together through the Office of Child Care. So tribes that choose to use CCDF dollars for childcare have to develop a 3-year plan. And within that plan, they are able to indicate that they would be interested in doing more systems level work. In this last round of those plan submissions, we had 49 tribes that chose to say, yes, we want to be part of a larger network of tribes to do the systems work. We're not ready yet to be quite one of the collaboratives, but we want to be thinking about systems. But out of those 49 tribes, we did pick 8 that wanted to do a 3-year intensive TA effort from the Office of Early Childhood Development to really make those systems work. So you can say we have 2 in Alaska, 1 in Arizona, 2 pueblos in New Mexico, another in Oklahoma. And I can't wait to introduce you to our Seneca folks because they are one of our tele collaboratives and they are one of our bright spots. I just have to tell you, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I just want to close with the next slide of telling you some of the things that we do for our tele collaboratives. We do monthly calls, check-in calls. What do you need? What can we help you with? What's been happening with your tele at the local level? We have bi-monthly webinars. The 1 month will be on a topic, such as our next one is on workforce retention, and we'll have a little wellness in there too. It's also on apprenticeships and a grow your own program of recruiting and retaining teachers. And then the following month, Seneca Nation will be talking about all the work that they're doing in this area. So we have a content area, and then we have feature one of our collaboratives who's applying that kind of information. We do site visits. Last year we did all 8, and it was one of the most incredible things to get to learn about the cultures of each of these tele tribes. We had an in-person convening that was totally funded by private funding, since we don't have a lot of money for this project, and it was held in Albuquerque in 23. And then we're doing an evaluation called Telling Your Story interviews, of interviewing all of our tribes the first year, and then again the last year, to be able to talk about the progress they've made. So I could go on and on. I'm sure I've already gone over my 5 minutes, Melody. There's just no way I can talk about Telly in 5 minutes. So I apologize for taking more time. But I want to now just introduce you to Chelsea and Liz with the Seneca Nation. And I've been working with them for the last couple of years, and I just can't say enough about them. Chelsea is the director of the Seneca Nation Art and Learning Center. I hope I got that right. And Liz is the assistant director. And you guys are going to just love what they have to tell you. They work hard. They've got more energy than any 2 people I think I've ever met. But with that, I will turn it over to Chelsea and Liz. They can tell you more about themselves and their work, but I'm very honored to get to introduce you to them. So I'll turn it over. I guess questions, but I think I'm over my time, so we'll go ahead.
So we're up?
Yep, you're up, Chelsea.
So my name is Chelsea Finch. I'm the director.
I'm Liz. I'm the assistant director.
And we have
I'm Hannah Bloom. I'm the parent involvement coordinator.
you're kind of on the corner right
Yeah.
here.
Hi.
So just a little overview of our program here. We're licensed by New York State Office of Child and Family Services. We are tribally owned and operated. We have currently 14 classrooms here. We have 6 daycare, 3 pre-K, and 4 after-school programs, and 1 Head Start as well. We have 2 locations. They're both on 2 reservations. So we have the Allegheny Reservation, which SCLC is on, and then we have our sister location in Cattaraugus that ECLC is located. We are currently just about fully staffed, woohoo, with approximately about 75 employees. Each classroom has 1 lead and 2 TAs. And then I think we have about 5 floaters that kind of float throughout the program. You know, I know we do everything in our power to support our teaching staff. So with that, we have an admin, and I know when we went to the convening in Albuquerque, we felt spoiled because of all the things that we can offer from the Seneca Nation. So we have nutrition specialists on site, we have an education specialist, we have a nurse, we have a behavioral and disabilities coordinator, we have parent involvement, we have language, we have a whole facilities department underneath us. And then not to mention the Seneca Nation as a whole, they have multiple departments like HR, grants, accounting, like you name it. There's over, I'd say about 50 departments. But they're all under the same umbrella. And I think that's it for just our general overview of our program. And then initiatives and activities that we successfully implemented within mental health. I'm gonna have Liz talk on this topic because we have a whole plethora of grants. So I'm gonna have her talk about the education portion with our HOPE grant that we have through Bay Mills. Someone, Liz, take that away.
Yeah, so as our staff was growing, when I started here just under 10 years ago, we were a pretty small facility. We only had 4 classrooms, like Chelsea touched on before. We're at 14 right now. We're bigger than we've ever been in history. And with that comes the need for more qualified staff. And I'm sure that all of you can feel the same out there, but there isn't a lot of qualified staff knocking down doors to work in early childhood. And we sat for a really long time with that problem. We kept pushing it to the back burner. What do we do? How do we fix this? We are only X amount of people. We don't have the funds to pay them more. We collaborated with a tribally owned and operated accredited college in Michigan called the Bay Mills Community College. And we were selected for part of their Hope Grant, which is honoring our people through equity and education. Our staff, all 75 of them, if they choose, whether they're Native American or not, are able to receive a completely free early childhood education, starting with their CDAs all the way up through their bachelor programs with Bay Mills. Not only is it completely free tuition, all of their books are free, not $1 is paid. They're shipped right here to the facility. And then Bay Mills hired a mentor and tutor for all of those staff to have here on site that works 10 hours a week for them to ensure that they're supported at all times. If they struggle at all, have any questions, someone's here to help them. We then acquired, through working with Quality Stars New York, the opportunity for our staff to go on and get their master's degrees, again, at zero cost. We really struggled with post-COVID needing to hire and the pool just not being there. So at that point, much like many programs, we were taking anybody and everybody that would come and wanted to work. So we knew we needed to get them where we needed them to be to continue to be a quality program. And we were pushing education pretty far down their throats, but struggling to keep them here, to keep the retention here. We were finding that we weren't able to pay people with bachelor's and master's degrees what other competitors were. We've got local school districts that, you know, they can be part of the union and they can work 10 months a year. So why work 12 months a year and work really hard in classrooms with infants and toddlers? So that's where Chelsea and her HR background kind of came into play, and we went to bat hard for our staff. And starting last week, go ahead.
So we got approved at council for a merit policy. So it's based on level system. So our TAs have a level 1 or a level 2. So a level 1 would be if they are just coming in entry level. Well, let me take that back because we're no longer entry level positions anymore because we are not at minimum wage now. So, but they'll come in at a lower rate with the high school diploma. And then once they obtain their CDA, they'll get an increase. And then once they obtain their associates, then they'll get another increase. And same applies for the lead teacher positions. They would start out as bare minimum, which would be the CDA. Then they'll go on and get their associates, they'll get an increase, and the same with bachelor's and up to a master's. And it's a significant difference. So, but it's passed through council and they get it this Friday in their checks. So we're pretty excited about that. All right, so then other grants too that we work with, like Eva said, we work with a Telly and CCDF block grant. And I think one thing with the Telly is they taught us to be patient and work together as a tribe. I think when we started off in a part of the Telly, we didn't know exactly what was required of us. Once we got the hang of everything and opened it up to collaborations within our nation, and not even just that, like our community members as well, we kind of got a hand on what Telly was or is. And we live in a diverse community, but I think we all had the same goal at the end of this. So we are currently applied for the tribal home visiting program, as I see you mentioned on here. And then we are currently applying for the early Head Start program as well. We have like a whole other half of our building that's not being used right now. So hopefully we're opening the door to help our community by offering early Head Start free of charge. So and then some things that the nation offers with the education is the educational leave. They get 3 hours a week. Nation employees do. We offer unlimited breastfeeding leave as well. We do have a breastfeeding room on site as well. And I know Hannah, she has the parent admin time. They get 3 hours a week. You have to be an employee of the Seneca Nation to receive that, but she still promotes that for all the community. And we touched on the education policy.
Yeah. So our parent admin leave, that's something unique that the Seneca Nation offers. And I know when we went to the convening in Albuquerque, that was a hot topic. But that's something unique where our families, we don't have to have an event going on for them to come over and spend time with their child. They could come over and eat breakfast with their child. They could go, you know, if they have a field trip to the community center to go swimming, they can go swimming with their child, you know, and just use that time. And I really encourage parents to use it because we don't want it to go away. We want, you know, it's an executive order for the whole Seneca Nation, for all their employees who have children here. And, you know, we really just encourage them to use that. A lot of our families use it to attend our socials that we have monthly. But that's been something that I've been reminding them, like, we don't have to have something going on. You really can just come over and spend time in your child's classroom with them. And that really helps, you know, in our program.
And I think just to touch on that too, is we have a lot of parents that are in-house, like they're employees. And so that's nice that they can use that benefit as well. Within our facilities, we have 3 large break rooms as well. And with that, today or this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So we offer that as well. We put that into our budget every year. So completely the whole week we offer breakfast, lunch, and a snack, and they get gifts every single day. And it's usually like a theme based every year. This year it's 90s themed. Our employees we eat family style, so employees also eat with the children, and so we provide meals to them too. We close every quarter for staff development days. We've had many that touched on mental health to offer support in that area. We have employee incentives. We do birthdays, anniversaries. We do like shout outs, graduation. We have that as well. We do luncheons when we do have their birthdays. And what really helped us too is the OCFS retention grant. That was huge when I think it was back in Christmas this past year. We gave out those bonuses, and like we had staff crying because they really needed it during that time, those difficult times. So but that was really, really huge for us. What else we got here? And a huge thing too is the Seneca Nation benefits package. So with the Seneca Nation, as an employee, you get medical, dental, vision, 401k. They match vacation. You get 80 hours once you've been here a year. You get personal time that's accrued every week. It's 2 hours a week, which is 103 hours. And then they offer like some trainings and stuff as well that they will promote. Every day we also do trivia. Every day at 2 o'clock they do a trivia. In the winner of the month, it gets a luncheon provided by us. We do 2 different, we do employee of the month, and that's the whole entire Seneca Nation that does that. And then we do employee or teacher of the year during Teacher Appreciation Week. So we'll announce that to the staff on Friday. And with that comes, both of them come with a parking spot and some gift cards. And with us, we give them a plaque and recognition We have the president come out and he will do a speech, and their family would be here, and just promoting that, the importance of being a teacher and being a leader. With the nation, they offer EAP, which it's for employees. They offer support, whether it be through counseling, recovery, mental health, any loss. So we have that program. We have really defined job descriptions, and we collaborate with the school district. So if they need any assistance, whether it be with mental health or any kind of support, we collaborate with Child and Family Behavioral Unit as well. We currently have a parent-teacher committee, so they can voice their opinions there. So we do check-ins typically monthly, and we do lead and court meetings as well. Just to keep going on, we have evaluations that they do. We can offer support that way too, and the door is always open with us. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we're always available to them, and if they need anything, we're right there. And then I don't know if you guys have anything to touch on before we move on to the last question.
No, I think the last one is kind of where we would come into.
Okay. So the last one we had was like what lessons we've learned that you'd like to share. I think us working together, advice that we would give to you is you have to have a relationship with your staff. You have to know what they need from you. I know we went a whole year not knowing what they needed, and when the tele had their on-site visit here, that was a question that came up too, is we always ask, but they don't know what they want. So just really knowing who your staff are and what their needs are, and be that voice for them, is what we've learned. Start out slow. You're not always going to have the answer, and it just takes time. You just have to be patient. And then, if you want to touch on.
Yeah, I think that a piece of advice I would give that we didn't know if it was going to be a strength or a weakness to our team was that our administrative team is incredibly diverse. Our backgrounds, our degrees are all in very different things, and we didn't know if we were all going to jump on this boat and be paddling a different way, but we found ways to magnify the strengths of our admin team and just kind of let that person take the lead with that. I mentioned it earlier, Chelsea's background in 1,000,000 degrees is in human resources, and she knows how to support the staff that struggle to manage people or to have teamwork within their classrooms. My degrees are early childhood, so if they want to talk to me about the domains in their lesson plans and how to hit all of them, or helping a child hit a milestone, that's where I come in. If they're struggling to communicate with parents or struggling to build relationships with parents, that's where Hannah comes in. So I think building a team that is diverse would be a lesson learned, I think, for us, that it's a good thing, and it's a positive, and it's a strength, and it's not a weakness that we all don't know the same things.
You want to touch on anything?
So we had talked about too that mental health has a stigma attached to it, and so advice that we would give as well is just to normalize talking about it in your place of employment, normalize talking about it with your teachers, and then they'll normalize talking about it as well, and just being more willing to reach out if they do need help or they do need to talk about something. So just encourage them.
I think that pretty much wraps up. I don't know if you have any questions. I know that was a lot. Really crazy.
Oh man, that is amazing. Thank you so much to each of you for taking the time to share with us today. I'm so excited to hear all of the amazing things that you are doing and that you have done for your staff and your team there. And I want to see, does anyone have any questions? Maybe some of you are taking notes and you want to clarify something, or just any questions. So we'll open it up to anyone. And if you want to take yourself off mute and ask your question, or you could share it in the chat and we'll make sure that the Seneca Nation team is able to read it. So opening it up for questions or comments, anything you guys want to ask or share.
I have something to say.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
my voice is kind of raspy right now. I work with the Warm Springs Head Start program, early Head Start program. And I think what your program has done is really amazing, especially with the education piece, like being supportive to your staff and wanting that to build your program is amazing. And that mental health piece is very important. I feel like after the pandemic, a lot of people were scared and having to be closed off and re-entering a new world. And not only for the staff, but I think that mental health is important for our children that we serve too, and providing those resources to our families. And my question is, trying to build on reconnecting with families and building that trust back. And also, what advice can you give? Because I'm our family service coordinator here with the Warm Springs Head Start. What advice would you give me um, to encourage families to want to educate themselves, the importance of their child's education as them being their first teacher, and what supports uh, to be able to be expressive to our families of that?
Absolutely. That was a lot of questions rolled into one. So we'll try to rattle them off. And if we forget one, feel free to bring it back in. I think one way that we really excel at getting the respect back of the parents post-COVID, which I agree was lost for no reason at all. But I think when educators became this variable and parents were able to teach from home and Zoom lessons, all of a sudden teachers, I feel like were deemed as this variable component. So I agree. Oh my God, are we muted? No, we're not. Okay, sorry. Sorry. So I do agree, we did have to earn that back for no reason at all. But what we do really well is we share all of our staff's victories. It is the bare minimum that our lead teachers have to have a CDA, and we share and celebrate with the fact that we've got 31 teachers enrolled in higher education right now, but we share that they don't have to. We share that what they've got with this 6-month child development associate is just fine in the eyes of New York State or the Office of Child and Family Services to lead a classroom, but we really publicize and vocalize our staff's strengths and their desire to be better for these children and families. And we found that the more that we share that with the community, the more they celebrate them with us. And the more that they know that these are not babysitters and we do not allow people to call us a daycare. We're an early childhood learning center, and we just command that respect from our parents and our community. We have probably 2.5 to 3 hour long orientation processes when a new child is going to start in the building. They go over, give or take, 25 policies that they have to sign along with a contract. They meet the teacher, they see the classroom, and I think really just showing off what we do. And it gives parents peace of mind, but it also shows them that we do know what we're doing. We do in that orientation process build a relationship and a teamwork component with the parents where home and the classroom are an extension of each other. We have work going in and out constantly with family involvement opportunities, parent engagement opportunities where they have to do things at home. They get homework at 7 months old, just like they do it at 7 and 10 years old. And parents feel proud of that, and we display it constantly up front, and they really take pride in the fact that they are a huge component in our center running as good as it does. I think continuity of care as best as we can. Children do not generally ever transition early. They have the same teachers for as long as we possibly can until they have to age out. And I think that's a big spot. Did I miss, what was the next one?
Building the relationship with the
Yeah,
parents.
I'd say like, especially make yourself relatable as well. You know, when you're talking with families and just having conversations with them, you know, I talk about my family as well in ways I can relate to them. And I have found that that's really helped me build a relationship with a lot of the families in our center. Because then they really do get to know you and they get to know your background and they get to know where you came from and that you also, you know what you're doing and know what you're talking about in terms of your child, their child, and you know, so definitely just make yourself a relatable person to them.
And I think just to wrap that up too is a big thing is the parent and teacher committee that we have. That's their voice. They can come in with any kind of concerns or, you know, give feedback to our admin staff. And not even just that, we do offer, or we do have Bright Wheel as well. So that's another extension to use for better communicating with staff and with their teachers.
Yeah, and I saw your question in the chat box. We did just open just a few months ago a new wraparound program, but we did have 3 after school programs. We knew when we had an empty classroom that we needed to see where the community needed us to put our time and money invested the most. And we did not have an after school program for children that decided to leave our program at the pre-K age and go to the district. We found that a lot of parents were making the decision that was best for them to work, as we're open till 5 o'clock and we're open year round and we don't have Christmas and spring break like the district does. And they were leaving children here that maybe it was a better suit for them to go and start the school process with the district. So we opened this new wraparound room for preschool age children so that parents still had that choice. And I know when you're trying to run a business, it's probably a questionable decision to make to allow people the opportunity to take that revenue and get, you know, free care through the district. But that's not what it was about to us. It was about what our parents needed most. And we did have some children, you know, leave our preschool program and go over to the district, and then they would come right back at our wraparound program. Wraparound starts at 4 years old and goes up to 12 years old. They come here in the morning, then the district picks them up on a bus and takes them to school, and then they come back here after school and they stay here till 5 o'clock. And for your question about are all staff paid same in each budget, our staff are all paid the same for now with the merit policy where they're at equivalent, whether they work in the Head Start program or in the childcare classrooms. It just depends on what qualifications they have. Yeah, and Eva, we did talk about the staff break rooms. They all have, there's different ones and they all kind of have a different vibe. So some of them, if you really just want to be alone and you don't want to associate with anyone else, there's some that, you know, the lights are dimmed and there's giant beanbag chairs and recliners in them. There's direct TV in the staff break rooms. There's refrigerators and microwaves and toasters. There's bathrooms in there for them. There is a lending book library that Chelsea brought in a whole bunch of books, and they can sign out books and take books back as they need it.
And there's a board too that like you can put post-it notes on. They're gonna our education coordinator is going to be switching that up so they can just put any advice to other teachers, or if someone's having a bad day, you can post it up there and get feedback that way too.
Did we miss anything, Rihanna?
That's amazing. Let's see, I'm looking in the chat. Oh, she said no. Nice job. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's see. If anyone still has questions, we want to make sure that we have time for our next presenter team. But I just want to say thank you so much, Ahodebat, how we really appreciate Seneca Nation, you and your team for taking the time to share all of your amazing practices and also your lessons learned. And thank you for taking the time to answer our questions too. So if any of you think of something that you'd like to ask, feel free to put that in the chat and we can make sure that we provide a response. And just also one final thing would be for Seneca Nation. Would you all be willing to share any like an email address or information in case anyone think of something later that they'd like to reach out to you about? Is that something you'd be willing to do?
Yeah, we can put Chelsea. She's the director. We'll put her email right in the chat box for anybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for taking the time today to share with us. And we really appreciate your time and sharing your lessons learned and wisdom with us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we really appreciate that. So now we're going to transition to our next spotlight presenter team. And so I'm going to pass it over to our colleague, Roxana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Melody. My name is Roxana Matthew, and I am a program specialist representing the Office of Head Start. And I'm really excited to share with you all today a brief overview of the OHS's initiative known as the Tribal Colleges and Universities Head Start Partnership Programs. Next slide, please. Great. So here you can see a map overview of where our TCU Head Start Partnership programs are currently located. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in September of 2020, the Administration for Children and Families and the Office of Head Start awarded an initial $4 million to 6 tribal college and university Head Start partnership programs. And since then has awarded an additional $2 million in both 2022 and 2023 for a now total of $8 million per year to increase access to both entry-level credentials and higher early education degrees for staff in AIAN Head Start programs. The TCU Head Start Partnership Programs aims to address the employment needs of tribal Head Start programs and workforce through what we like to call growing our own approach, which focuses on building and now sustaining early childhood career pathways in Native American communities, all while being responsive to the cultures and languages of American Indian and Alaska Native tribes. Through these partnerships, we expect to have approximately over 700 AIAN candidates graduate with an early childhood degree or credential by 2028. And some of these higher education degrees that are offered by the partnership programs includes Child Development Associates, or CDAs, bachelor's degrees, and master's degrees. Next slide, please. Here you can see our 4 practical applications of the TCU Head Start Partnership Programs, which includes building early childhood education career pathways in Native American communities, addressing the employment needs of tribal Head Start programs, meeting the unique needs of individual Native communities and supporting staff in AIN programs, and building TCU's capacity to create or enhance innovative approaches that increase access to early childhood education degrees in tribal nations. Next slide, please. Here you will see some of the ways in which the partnerships support our candidates. Some of these can be in the form of tuition assistance, books, other costs, the ability to transfer credits to and from multiple colleges, credit for professional experience, strong personal support and flexibility in course delivery and design, and the ability to provide preliminary or remedial instruction as well. And as you can see, mental health and wellness supports, which is so incredibly important. Next slide, please. And last but not least, here you will see a list of our first and second cohort or clusters of our TCU Head Start Partnership programs. From our first cohort, we have Navajo Technical University in New Mexico, Salish Kootenai College in Montana, Stonechild College as well in Montana, Fond du Lac Tribal Community College in Minnesota, White Earth Community College as well in Minnesota, Chindeska-Sikana Community College in North Dakota, and our new awardees as of September of last year, Bay Mills Community College, College of Menominee Nation, and again, Salish Community college in Montana. So for that, this means that with the new cohort, the TCU Head Start Partnership Programs now represents 8 primes, 13 sub-awardees for a total of 21 tribal colleges and universities and 28 AIA and Head Start programs across 9 states. So with that, I know it was really quick and really brief, but I want to give our wonderful next presenter and panelist the opportunity to share her experiences as it relates to workforce and wellness. But with that, I'll turn it back over to Melody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Roxana. Really appreciate it. And if anyone, so we will have a Q&A session after our next presenter. So if anyone has questions for Roxana about the TCU Head Start Partnership Initiative, feel free to put those in the chat and we'll make sure we get to them. And so with that, we'll go to the next slide. And Roxana?
Fantastic. Thank you, Melody. Yes. With that, I am very honored and excited to introduce to you our next panelist, Saratha Largi, who is the program coordinator for Navajo Technical University's Tribal Colleges and Universities Head Start Partnership. Her professional experiences include working as a toddler teacher, mentor teacher, supervisor, and manager for early childhood education. She has worked extensively with federally funded programs dedicated to early childhood development, creating and providing crucial support to children, families, and teachers in rural tribal communities. Her various roles in early childhood have influenced her commitment to support the holistic well-being of training, teaching, coming from marginalized communities. So Saratha, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yat A Shea Saratha Largi and Shea. Kia ani nishliro tohane bashichin hashbishni dashiche kabahe dashanele. I'm of the Towering House clan and born from near the water. My maternal grandfathers are the Mud clan and my paternal grandfathers are the Edgewater. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Navajo Nation and I come from the Diné people. And as Roxanne said, I'm the program coordinator for Navajo Technical University's Tribal College and Universities Head Start Partnership. So today I'm just going to give a brief overview of NTU and then also talk a little bit about our activities that promote workforce wellness and then some lessons that we learned from that. And then I'll also share some information about our upcoming boot camp. So we can head into my presentation. I prepared the, I guess, next slide. So these are the questions that we kind of talked about. And part of what I wanted to talk about today is did we add the framework, Melody?
Yes. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay. And I believe that your slides start. Yep.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we can start here. Backward, back. Okay, there we go. So I prepared these slides here based on the panelist questions that were provided to me. And I thought a little bit about what we do. And as a tribal college and universities institution, we have a lot of opportunity to do what we need to do for on the terms of our people. And I think that is really powerful within itself. So at Navajo Technical University, we operate under our framework of Sa'anage Ehuajon and also known as SMBH, which is our Diné epistemology and our living system. And there's also encompasses Ninsa, Case, Nahatah, Ina, and Sihasin, which are ways that we learn and think through different things and how we attain that knowledge is really what those that framework gets at. But what I wanted to share today is just some quotes from my grandpa, Dr. Wilson O'Ronoff Jr., who is the founder of this framework, who helped create it with a lot of other knowledge holders within our community. The main intent of SMBH is to introduce the basic Diné way of learning to students. Diné way of learning is necessary for each young person to feel the power of a sense of worth, not only in himself or herself, but a sense of worth in his or her beliefs, community, education, family, land, and values, so that an adolescent will understand his role in life. And we also operate across all of Navajo Nation, have 5 instructional sites. So I just want to share that there. Next slide, please. And our early childhood program is one of the largest programs on at Navajo Technical University, and we are a fully online program. Our partnership is between our institution and Navajo Head Start, which is also one of the largest programs across Navajo Nation. So it is a really strong partnership that we're trying to create. And our intent is to increase the number of highly qualified Head Start, early Head Start teachers within the Navajo Head Start program and Zuni Head Start program. And we've also extended our initiatives to other tribal Head Start programs within the Southwest, or if you have one within the United States. Our program emphasizes the importance of infusing culture and language into their programs. Part of our grant, we offer recruitment and retention, and throughout the partnership, we have the ability to provide tuition, books, fees, living stipends, gas cards, food cards. And one piece that I'm gonna focus on today is our professional development component. So next slide, please. So this piece, we serve a really rural community, and our students all have diverse challenges. So we had to think through ways to promote balance and health through teachings of Sa'ana Ibig as early child professionals, we require ongoing learning dependent on the families we have, the children that we have. We come into situations where we might not know what to do. So we really built in the professional development piece so that we can teach our training teachers how to access professional development as they continue on in their career. And that's through like eClick and other early childhood resources. There's also our Navajo Nation Early Childhood Collaborative who does speaker series. So we really try to bring those community pieces in, and then also provide students with access to those websites that have ongoing professional development that they can access at any point that they might need it. And we do this by requiring each of our students to complete 5 PDs each semester. We offer 3 to 5, it really depends on how they choose to complete those. And a part of it too is we turn off the chat box. And we've learned that this provides opportunity for them to really engage in meaningful dialogue. And that's what we talk to them about too, is we stress that, you know, they have to learn how to talk to a crowd. They have to learn how to talk to people because they're going to have parents that they're going to have to talk to. They're going to have the children that they're going to have to teach. And there's a lot of pieces in there where they're going to have to find their voice. So that's a part of why we turn off the chat box within those professional developments. And we do a follow-up survey. The questions that we ask them are in what manner did this session contribute to your professional development? As an early childhood practitioner, what novel insights or knowledge did you acquire during the session? How do you intend to apply your newly acquired knowledge in your professional, personal, or educational endeavors? And can you go to the next slide, please? And these are just 2 examples of how we promote our series to students. We found that students do really like the series where we build on the information throughout the semester, so they're more willing to come if that's how we do them. We partnered with our Indigenous Studies program. And when we talk with these, we do provide a cross-disciplinary approach to, as stated before in the previous conversation. And we talk about what our students need, maybe what they might be struggling with. Sometimes we go with them to advising, or maybe the previous semester they might have been going through something, and we say, okay, well, what is it that will help them? And a lot of it comes back to wellness and creating balance. And Sa'ana Ibig Ehuajon has 2 paradigms of Hajon and Naye, which is like a beauty way and an enemy way. And part of that, at the center of all of that, is balance, which is Hajon. So when we look at and use that epistemology to plan these, we really do center and promote wellness within that. So some of you can see here is the net culture and leadership, taking initiative, identity, and self-respect. Then we have and relations, leading as a teacher and embracing the net education. including Indigenous views and curriculum, and balancing life with Diné teachings. So those are just some of the virtual success workshops that we do that really do promote wellness. If you want to go to the next slide, please. And this is my favorite part of our job, is getting these back, just sharing a little bit about what I have a little bit more time. So I think I might be able to read a few of these. So if you look at the last question, I'll focus on the last question. How do you intend to apply your newly acquired knowledge in your professional, personal, educational endeavors? Our student wrote, I liked how it was mentioned that it is up to me to have a good life. I can see how Diné teachings are beneficial, can aid me in all aspects of life. I could use the information to balance my life so that I'm able to cover all of my bases as an educator. And then the next one over says on the number 3 again, finding a balance between our cultural identity and mainstream Western society is very important. Being able to balance both is not always easy, but finding the balance will help me become a successful colleague and successful teacher. If you want to go to the next slide, please. Then I'll read the last 2 again. I intend to apply my knowledge in my professional, personal, and education endeavors by expressing to my children the importance of having a happy life and what we can do to find balance within ourselves. I think that it's important for children to learn this as at a young age so they navigate through these struggles. And our last student that I'll read is, I plan to use my newly acquired knowledge on my professional, personal, and educational endeavors by reaching out to elders and others who are very knowledgeable of the world. I'd like to learn more about my tradition, language, and culture. As a mother, I would like to share with my daughter how we have a powerful connection with the earth, animals, and universe. The next slide, please. And I think that that's just really, when we read through those throughout the year and each semester, they're just really powerful to see what our students are taking away and maybe where there might be disconnects and how we can build on that knowledge through intentionally planning our professional workshops. So a lot of it was reframing, some of the lessons we learned was reframing what professional development is and how crucial it is to your early childhood profession, as opposed to it being a task or something you have to do annually just because, but rather making it meaningful. How do you make it meaningful for yourself is really what we have been trying to do, because the students were really resistant to it at first. And the follow-up surveys have been really helpful in planning new PDs, as I mentioned before, and it just helps us to see how students are processing the information and making sure that they're making it meaningful to them and making sure they're doing a lot of self-reflection in the process. So synthesizing it, I think, really creates a stronger connection to their learning components or whatever they were thinking about in the process. A lot of it took seeking support from their community partners and knowledge keepers who can tailor presentations to the program's needs. So usually we find a traditional knowledge keeper or work with our Diné Studies program, and we say, like, these are the things that our students want. These are some of the things that we need. And we also, like, what are some teachings that can help us get to this piece? So that's been really helpful to us. And it's also helpful to us as a team because we're also in the learning process of learning what Sa'ana Yebik means. And that is also a lifelong learning process. So we really enjoy it, having conversations with our students. It also helps us get to know them better virtually, especially being across all of Navajo Nation. It gets a little bit difficult to connect. So being able to center ourselves in our Diné epistemology is really, it's really beautiful for us to see. And then also just ensuring that funding is available to provide proper compensation to those who hold Indigenous knowledge, because I think that is a really important aspect of what we do, is making sure we're working together and being respectful and honoring those teachings in the best way possible. if you want to move to the next slide, I have about 2 more minutes. So I'll take the last 2 minutes to talk about our Naltol with the Child Development Associate Equivalent Program. It's a program that we developed. It's a pathway program because we serve 4 different states and we span over 4 different states. It creates some barriers for us when it comes to focusing on one component because everything is distributed by states. So what we do is just create the foundational stepping stones that students need to achieve a CDA pathway, and then we try to help them walk them through the process systematically dependent on their state, and we have faculty do that. And then also, the program will provide a foundation of individuals seeking professional advancement in early childhood. So we're really targeting early career professionals in this process. And I can put the information in the chat. So if you have anyone in your program who is interested in getting those foundational courses done, we do have an upcoming boot camp starting May 17th. And that's all I have for you. We can leave some time for questions. And I can try to answer them.
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I see we do have a question in the chat box, so we'll start with that. And then if anyone has other questions, you can come off mute. So Paulette is asking, is your council or governing body knowledgeable about the importance of the program and what it brings to your community, or supportive?
I think, yes, they are. Like our partnership is signed between the president of Navajo Technical University and our president's office. So yes, in that sense, yes. But it does become a struggle because of system interaction between tribal, state, and federal, and that becomes bureaucratic. So it's just a lot of working through those processes and trying to use the partnership to somehow create solutions has been a struggle. But for the most part, everyone is on board and everyone understands the importance of this work. It's just systems kind of get in the way sometimes.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Any other questions? Any comments? Anything you'd like to share? We have a couple minutes here for some Q&A.
So I have one more question.
Yes.
I see that you did like a survey or like a information thing from your students. What do you do with all of that information, and what are you assessing from that?
We read through them to see what they like, what they captured from those professional development sessions. And then from there, we take it and we say, okay, well, this is what most of the students were saying. And then we can build on that in these different ways. Now that they have this foundational understanding of these concepts, now we can move forward and we can talk about these things. But one of the reason we started to do balance with the net teachings and relations was there was a lot of impatience that we found with students because we have like 3 staff members and we have like 80 something students to 114. So a lot of them were being they were getting impatient. They were just kind of getting after us in some ways. And so we had to stop and say, okay, like, how do we create balance within? There's obviously some imbalance, so we need to create some understanding. But we were able to do that through these teachings through Sa'ana B'Gehojan and say, okay, what is it that we need to look at? And that's where it was like, okay, there's probably things in their life. We don't know what's happening in their life. So we need to take that into account. So that's where the balancing life with the net teachings came into play, where we could do some self-reflection and create some understanding of ourselves. And that way we could create understanding for others. And then in relations and understanding the importance of connection not only with each other as human beings, but also the land and our holistic being and everything that is living on Earth. So that's a little bit about how we came about those processes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we might have time for one more question. Okay. And then I see in the chat, Paulette shared, that's amazing building connections. So wonderful. All right. Well, if anyone thinks of anything, just feel free to put it in the chat. Saratha, is there a way that they could, if people have other questions that come up, is there information or someone they could contact?
Yes, they can contact me. Also, I did not post the thing in the chat or my boot camp stuff. Can I send that to you, or how can I?
If you would like, we can include it in the follow-up email when we send it out to participants. So yeah, go ahead and send me whichever information you'd like included. And if you have hyperlinks or things, and we'll make sure we get it in that follow-up email.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Saratha. We want to say Ahode Batha. We really appreciate you taking the time to share all the amazing, inspiring things you have going on. And thank you so much. So, and thank you everyone for your questions. All right, awesome. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and we're winding our time down here together. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Priscilla for our next part.
Thanks, Melody. Now I'm going to take some time to highlight a few promising practices for workforce wellness that have been shared by various tribal lead agencies with us recently. So the first promising practice that we are going to be sharing today is hiring a yoga instructor. A tribal lead agency who offers childcare services through a tribally operated center hired a yoga instructor to support the mental health of children and staff. The yoga instructor provides mental health and wellness support through meditation, concentration, mindfulness, and relaxation. Yoga can also help children better understand their mind-body connection, which supports positive emotional regulation. The next highlight we want to share is Garden to Table. A tribal lead agency recently purchased garden beds to promote garden to table access of fresh produce to encourage healthy eating habits. The produce is incorporated into their traditional foods for their children and staff. The recipes for the traditional meals are also shared with the children's families. The next highlight is hiring a cultural specialist. Culture helps serve as a protective factor for children and youth who are dealing with stress. One tribal lead agency was able to hire cultural specialists who visit childcare classrooms twice a month to share cultural practices and lessons. The tribal lead agency hopes to expand this program soon by engaging older children in the cactus fruit harvesting to make jellies and syrups and gathering arrowweed for weaving coil baskets. There are also plans to make these activities age appropriate for younger children so that they can experience the inclusion and benefits of the cultural learning. And our last but not least highlight is workforce capacity for school age. A tribal lead agency shared that they're working on ways to use their stabilization funds to address the high need for school age care and build capacity of their workforce. They have created a threefold approach to solving this issue by focusing on recruitment, retention, and rewarding family childcare providers and tribally operated center staff. To increase sustainability, they would also like to create an initiative so that they will be able to continue after their funding is expended. To accomplish this, they are creating policies and procedures for their next 3-year plan. Now I'm going to pass it back to my colleague Melody.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. All right, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. But I'm going to go ahead and I wanted to share This next item, so we'll go to the next slide, on behalf of the Tribal Early Childhood Research Center. So Dr. Michelle Sarche wasn't able to join us today, but she wanted us to share this on their behalf. So we'll go to the next slide. So the Tribal Early Childhood Research Center is a project of the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation. And so they would like us to share with all of you, if you are a tribal Head Start home visiting or child care director or administrator, and if you're interested to share your perspective on the tribal early childhood workforce and program administration, if so, the Tribal Early Childhood Research Center would love to hear from you. So a little bit of information. I will go to the next slide. The Tribal Early Childhood Research Center is located at the University of Colorado and is currently conducting interviews with tribal Head Start, home visiting, and child care program directors and administrators interested to share their perspective as part of a study of tribal early childhood workforce and program resources, challenges, and priorities. Participants will be offered a gift card as a token of appreciation for their time. Please contact Michelle Sarche by email or text message to learn more. If the opportunity is right for you, an interview will be scheduled virtually or in person as opportunities permit at a time that is convenient. And they look forward to hearing from you. And we'll go ahead and put that information into the chat box for your reference. All right, and now we'll go to our next slide. And this is the contact information for the TRC. And they want to say miigwech to everyone for the time. Next slide. And then we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And if you have questions, please put those in the chat box and we can relay those along. All right. And finally, we wanted to highlight some upcoming opportunities. So I'll pass it back to Priscilla.
Thanks again, Melody. All right, so now I'm going to take some time to share some information about the Tribal Child Care Capacity Center. Next slide, please. The Tribal Child Care Capacity Center, or as we've been saying, TCBC, is a project of the Office of Child Care. Please be on the lookout for more information to be shared via OCC announcements on these upcoming opportunities. A digital discussion on culturally grounded school-age summer care, a virtual opportunity for attending a training for trainers on trauma-responsive care for tribes, and the TCBC resource bulletin, which is emailed out quarterly and is also available on our website. A friendly reminder that you can request technical assistance through the TCBC or your regional program specialist by emailing tcbc@mn-e.com or by calling the number provided here. We'll be inserting all these links and information into the chat. So we look forward to supporting you. And before we end our call today, I want to point out all the wonderful resources and links available for you to dig through. Again, this will be in the chat and I assume also in our follow-up email. So with that, I am going to hand it back off to Melody to close us out.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Great information. And you can see those links are in the chat. So our last bit, we wanted to just say thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate any feedback that you have. So if you could please take a moment to let us know how we did in today's webinar and also share any ideas that you might have for upcoming webinar topics that you'd like to hear. Please click on the following link. It takes about 5 minutes. Quick survey. You could also scan the QR code, and we'll also send all of the links that have been shared today in the chat box. We'll share those in our follow-up email to all registered participants following this webinar. So again, thank you so much for your time today. And with that, we'll go ahead and close up. We have a closing quote we wanted to share with you. So we'll go to the next slide. And just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. A special shout out to our spotlight presenters, our presenter teams for sharing and taking the time to share their wisdom and knowledge with all of us. And thank you to all of you for taking the time today and for all of your questions and comments and reflections. And finally, we'll go to the next slide, and I wanted to leave you with this quote. This is from Chief Sitting Bull, and he said, "Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children." And with that, we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Aho de batha, we appreciate each and every one of you. Take care. Have a great day.